Hi guys, UMyuuki here. So today I'm doing HOLOLIVE ReBirth for you, how to actually deck building guide. So it's actually to help players who are getting into ReBirth for you on actually how to build your deck. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are actually just buying the merchandise because of HOLOLIVE and all, but there's some of you that actually you kind of want to play the deck also, cause you already bought the merch and all. This is kind of like a general idea on explaining to you how exactly you can try to build your deck. So this is just me explaining some stuff. You can follow it, you can choose not to follow it. First of all, leave all the cards as I will explain like each individual gen by itself, the so-called pros and cons, and like their what makes their deck so strong. So starting with, they always have the partner, so that's just it's just something that you just collect if you like for nice, then yeah, for you to flex up basically. Yeah, so this doesn't really affect your deck in any other way, so you can play any kind of character you like. So building up your deck, you can obviously build around like characters you really like, or obviously there's those who like to just build to kind of get into like just a game to actually win and all, so you go for like something that's strong, or you go for something that is interesting that revolve around your favorite HOLOLIVE member. So this is just a rough guide on how exactly you can try to build your deck. Yeah. So first up, we will just look at Roboco. So Roboco, she's actually a decent card. She's more towards like a defensive card, defensive play. Her one cost is not really needed, so that one is something that you don't need to exactly play, so that one you can throw aside. 2 costs, level 3 spark to draw a card. That is actually generic, so that's something that a lot of people can get into playing it. So if I'm not wrong, there's other version of sparks to draw a card, but not every one of your so-called favorite HOLOLIVE member have that. Yep, so depending if you like her, you can just put her in 4 copies also. Cause it's just a generic 2 cost, you draw a card, and then it's a 5 defense to attack. Is decent to play her. If you're playing this kind of like spark draw cards, I would say most people will usually play about 4 to 8, yeah, around there, depending on how your deck actually flows. So cause the thing is, now there's only 12 deck cards, so we wouldn't know if there's more draw engine or anything. So for now, sparks to draw cards, those are somewhat of a need, so you can consider that adding them to the deck. This Roboco is actually more of a support. So as you are playing along, if you are just playing the trial deck by yourself, you actually see what the like so-called pros and cons of the deck. You realize that their effects are mostly like so-called like for Roboco, you have to discard card, so that's why you have cards that helps you draw cards like Sora Senpai, or you have Roboco to help you draw cards for her spark. So her ability is once per turn you can discard a card. This shows you have your entry member to +1 attack. So this is good because sometimes you just want to hit the threshold, which is like hit the exact attack power to hit the defense. You can use a skill to discard card. You can afterwards call over her, so like maybe you just want to use her skill, she was already on the field, so you just want her use her skill, act, you discard something, you discard card, get a +1 attack. Afterwards you have like a better member that you like, you can call over her. So I wouldn't say she's a bad card. She's a card that you can consider playing, but how do I say it? There's better supporting members that you can consider playing. For discarding a card, it's kind of a heavy cost, and not a lot of people will actually go for just discarding a card for +1 attack. But there is actually synergy with other cards, like later I'll explain. There's a synergy with Aqua and also Ayame, so that one I'll explain further down when we are talking about like deck in general, how to build. So for now, these are kind of like considerable, you can consider playing them. So this Spark Roboco, her effect, I think I mentioned it wrongly the other time for my Gen 0 opening. So it's not that she notifies sparks or anything, I said wrong. Her effect is more towards when she spark, your opponent cannot use partner attack to attack her. So she's more of a blocker. you can play 1 or 2 tech copy just for her defensive play. So during your opponent turn, when you manage to spark her as an entry, your opponent have to use maybe 2 units, like 2 members to rest to attack to get rid of her. So that means you take lesser damage. Yeah. So they're unable to use partner attack, which is very good, because usually partner attack, right, what you will usually do is save it for the very last attack. So usually you just like attack, get rid of the entry, and then the other one attack, and then the last attack a partner attack. So her spark makes it so that your opponent cannot use a partner attack to get rid of her. So this is also considered a very good card. So for now, Robocall cards, it's just only her Valina. Valinas are actually all just you can not really play them. Yeah. So these are fews that you can consider adding your deck. Next, I'll look at Miko Senpai. So Miko Senpai, her skill is actually quite decent for her spark level 3. I mean the 3 cost spark. So she don't really have a spark level. So meaning anytime you have her as an entry in for offense or defense, she's also quite a good card to play. So previously mentioned, for every card in your damage zone, right, she plus 1 defense and 1 attack for it. So if you have 6 cards, you'll be like 9 attack and 11 defense. So this card is like it's more towards like a late game good card, but the consistency with it isn't really very good. So if I were to choose, I would rather go with Robocall, because Robocall is already a 4 attack, 7 defense, and it's the same cost. So because you can really like control, like maybe there is future cards that will actually let you control placing cards back on top of the deck or something for entry ins, but other than that, you can't really control your spark, so you don't really know when this card will come out. Maybe it will come out, it will help you, cause 11 defense is actually a very good card. Your opponent definitely will need 2 attacks or partner attack to get rid of her. If you want to add her, it's something you can just experiment and try, but I would say most players actually also prefer Robocall over this Spark Miko. Next is her 3 cost, 5 attack, 6 defense. For 3 cost is considered quite heavy because there's no skill, no spark, no anything, so also another card you can just get rid of. Next is her 2 cost. 2 cost spark. This is actually a card that at first I was thinking is quite stupid. Not stupid is kind of maybe a strong word to say, but yeah, it's quite stupid because for level 5 she's 2 cost, and her ability is you can choose any amount of your members and return it to the bottom of that. I was thinking, oh, this is really bad, why would I want to do that? Then I came to the conclusion that maybe I can return my sparks and everything also, which is kind of makes sense and all. But the general idea about this card is that if you're playing more towards a spark based deck, this card is definitely there. For 2 costs, you can keep abusing her skill kind of. The only downside is that she's a spark level 5. So what do I mean by she's actually really good is the fact that, say, if you are playing a spark deck, what you like to do is always trigger spark. But the only way you can trigger spark is through entry in, right? So how can you do entry in if your member zone are full up? So I know what most of the thing you're thinking is like, how easy is it to really like flood your member? There's cases where it is there lah, where you have a lot of useless members that are left there, and you are unable to entry in, and so maybe sometimes you are stuck with like a very bad, like a very low cost entry unit. So and there's like no exact way you can get rid of it unless you pay the cost and call it on the entry. So what she does is she can help you just return the cards, like returning sparks, like I said, returning sparks, so that you afterwards you can pay 2 costs to bring her down to a member zone and to actually trigger another spark. So this is good for spark decks, like I said, so it's to continuously trigger sparks. So this is something that if you are playing a more towards a spark based deck, right, you can consider adding her in. Yeah. I would say 2 to 3 copies enough. 4 copy will be too much because she's spark level 5, it's kind of heavy lah. Next will be this SSS version of Miko Senpai. I wouldn't say she's a very bad card, but I wouldn't say she's also a really end game kind of card. Because for every deck, you definitely need to know which is your ending game card, like which is the card that can actually help you lead to victory, that will do the finishing blow and all. I will say she's considered as the second strongest. First obviously being Sora Senpai. Her requirement is that if she have a rebirth, she get 3 attack and 5 defense. 3 attack is actually a total of 6, so you have a rebirth maybe around 7 or 8 depending on what rebirth you have. So is usually enough. 7 or 8 is enough to actually hit through the defense, but I won't say she is it's still too low cost. Think of it this way, like if you have her as an entry in but you have no rebirth, you're stuck with a 4 cost unit with 3 attacks, and early game that's actually kind of painful if you have not enough energy to like bring her down to the member zone to try to call in another entry in. So I wouldn't say she's really that bad or really that good, but I generally won't recommend playing her unless she's your waifu, you're going for a full Miko build. Other than that, I wouldn't recommend putting her inside your deck. Her only plus side is that if you have the rebirth, along with her defense, right, she'll be maybe around like 11 defense, 10 or 11 defense around there usually. So it'll make her quite tanky. This is the only plus side I could see. But like I say, the chances of you getting a rebirth and then followed by her is not really there. You can play from your hand, but your deck only play 8 rebirth. You have to kind of depend on her rebirth combo is kind of bad. She's not a really consistent finisher, so I wouldn't say to play her. So for now, that we can put aside. Next we'll look at Sui Sui. So for Sui Sui, right, this is a 1 cost card that's actually really very useful that I been testing and I actually really like it. So what she does is she helps you retrieve cards from the she will help you retrieve cards from your member zone and swap it with other cards that you potentially might not want it in your hand. Ability is if you have 3 members, right, when she enter the spark zone or the member zone, you have 3 members, right, you can actually choose any cards from your hand and swap it with the members on the field. So what you like to do is you can actually take back your blockers, you can take back your spark canceller, you can take back your so-called, what is it called, end game card, so like your finisher, your boss unit, something like Sora Senpai. So and then afterwards, right, you can actually play a card, a supporting member that's actually useful, like I said previously. So maybe if Robocall is your hand, you don't want to overcall, so you can use a skill to bounce back maybe a blocker and then call Robocall out. You can use Robocall's supporting member skill to actually help to boost your entry. So Sui Sui is really very useful. So cost is also a 1 cost, so meaning that late game or anytime during the game, right, you can just pay 1 cost, call it into the member zone and then retrieve your card back. So I wouldn't say to play a lot of copy of her. I think 2 copy is actually good enough. Yeah, because you can actually retrieve her back too. So 2 copy is good. So this 2 is good. Next will be 3 copy of SSS version of Sui Sui. Spark level 3, choose one of your opponent member waiting in a one of your opponent member and put it into the waiting room. So this is just to burn one of your opponent's card member. So this is a good card. There's other trial decks with, usually the trial decks all have like a similar effect. So it's just up to you whether you want to play her or not. So this is a card that you can consider playing. I would say about 4 to 6 I think is okay. It also depends on your rebirth on what you actually want to play. So yeah, this is just her 3 cost, 4 attack, 8 defense. It's more useful as a defender, but her 4 attacks did come in useful too when she's actually there to help attack. But I wouldn't say to play her. Yeah, I usually try to not play no effect members. Yeah. Next is her Spark Canceller. Her Spark Canceller is just 4 cost, 5 attack, 6 defense. Spark Canceller you wouldn't want to play a lot, but Spark Cancellers are still played because it helps you in Say if your opponent have a card to retire all your members, so you have lesser attacks. Or basically, if your opponent wants to heal, like if he's 7 damage already, he heal, you can just use this to deny him and win the game. So 3 copies is actually fine, more than enough I feel. Next, last but not least, in the trial deck we have Sora Senpai. So Sora, so her 1 cost card, this is extremely useful. I absolutely love this card. This card is always been one of the starting I don't want to say forerunner, but it's not forerunner. Starting members I always start off with. Her ability is very simple. It's just if you have more members than your opponent, more levels or members, I forgot already, either one than your opponent, you can actually, when she boosts, right, return her to the bottom of the deck and draw a card. So what she does is she actually helps you fill up, she helps you empty your member zone so you can bring in members, entry down to your members to trigger more sparks, and she gives you a +1 card. I would say she's good, but I wouldn't maybe recommend playing 3 copy. Maybe if you are if you like, just play 1 copy, but you play her as your main entry unit. Yeah, she's a good card to consider, but I don't think you would like to play too much copy, because if you call too much and then she's stuck as your so-called if she's stuck as your entry and you have your field full up already, you have to lead attack with. You have to lead the offense with only like 2 attack, which is not very good. So if you're playing her for like I say, maybe a spark deck, I would say 1 copy is enough. Keep her as your starting entry member. Next is the blocker. Sora Senpai is a blocker, so blockers are always needed in this deck. So generic skill is just 2 cost, 2 attacks, 4 defense, just help nullify attacks. Nullifying of attacks, I would say you play around 6. Yeah, 6 or 8. Yeah, that's a good ratio to go with. So this is her Growling, her 3 cost Valina effect, nothing. Just 4 attack, same as Suijang, just 4 attack, 8 defense. You have to play her. So now we reach the boss of this deck. So generally for this deck, right, she's your ultimate finisher. So your playstyle will be constantly trying to get her in your hand and then try to end your opponent on that turn when you have her. I wouldn't say she's a very consistent card, because you need this ReBirth, the Smiley story, if I'm not wrong, non-stop small story, something, I forgot the name. Yeah, you need that ReBirth to actually use her effect. So, but if you actually do pull off and you get both of it on the field, right, it's very strong, because first attack is gonna be +3 plus another 1 from the ReBirth. It's gonna be 9, so 9 attacks. Your opponent cannot use blockers, and then later afterwards you can use another partner attack. So if you have to roughly have an image for the deck you are building, right, who's gonna be your boss card, who is gonna be the one that's gonna end the game for you. So for now, for this Gen 0, right, I would say Sora Senpai will be the one, so you have to play her. Yeah, if you're keeping it to just Gen 0, but the things that I'm going to explain is more towards like a hybrid, so it makes between all the gens to go for like a stronger deck build. But for me, what I'll be doing is I'll most likely build about 6 deck, I think. Yeah, so Gen 0, Gen 1, Gen 2 Gamer, Gen 3 and Gen 4, and maybe like a 7 depending for like a competitive, so will be a mixture of all the cards or something. Yeah. Next is just their Spark Q1, then your entry first battle actually get +1 attack, that's it. This is a very generic ReBirth. Every trial deck will have one, but the downside is all the names are the same, so that means you cannot play more copies of it. But the other one, which is this one, is the Spark is just that you can for every damage you have, you can get rid of the amount of opponents entry and members. So this card is good for anywhere around mid games. Mid games is just once you get it as a Spark, you can actually just retire all your opponent's field, or you can just get rid of their member. And actually depends on what's happening on the field. Say if your opponent have a low cost member, right, let's see. So So if your opponent have like a low cost member, right, and then they have like some members, low cost member entry, and then some members. So if you get this ReBirth spark, right, you can burn the whole field, but I wouldn't recommend burning the whole field. You have to think about the situation, cause if you like, you keep her as on the field, you try not to burn. So it's like up to for every card in your damage zone, you can burn up to the same number. So you can just burn only the 3 members at the back and leave the entry in. Cause if you were to burn it, say if they were to later entry in, they can entry in something stronger, making it harder for your turn. Cause once you burn it, right, they won't be doing any more attacks on you unless they do spark cancel or anything. So yeah, if so you have to actually think about what's gonna happen next. So if you know you're able to survive his the opponent turn, right, so you keep their like so-called weak entry on the field, so that later next time you can release your offense on them. So for this card, right, she is actually good in the sense that it's early game to mid game is very good, but late game I would say it's still good, but once you hit 7 damage, that's it lah. So there's people who actually go full aggro, they actually play this kind of spark, because this spark is a different name, so you can actually play 8 copies of it technically with the same effects. I would say for this gen you wouldn't want to play this one, cause none of the members or cards here, right, they have like a re-combo with this effect. Yeah. So you can play other ReBirth with the same effect, but like cards that so-called combo with it. Yeah. So that will be it for my Gen 0. So next up, I'll be talking about Gen 1. Alright, so now on to our second trial deck explanation. So this will be Gen 1. So I'll be explaining Gen 1, the deck and how their cards works, and then how you can actually use some of their cards and bring it to the deck that you want to. So this is just their partner cards like previously mentioned. So first I'll talk about Mia. Cost 1, generic, yep, previously mentioned, we just skip through it. You don't need to play her. Her 2 cost 1. 2 cost is when she spark, no level at all. You can choose your opponent entry, -1 attack, and then she +1 attack. So that if you get her during your own turn or your opponent turn, she is both offense and defense. So essentially a decent card, cause there's no spark level and she's only 2 cost, so that means you can easily bring her down and then try to go for an entry in. So I would say it's not that bad, you can play it. Next is just her as a spark canceller. Yeah, her cards are actually very less, cause this trial deck have 5 members instead of the 4. So spark canceller, 3 cost, 4 attack, 5 defense. Yep, can play her or play Sui Sui, whichever version you actually prefer. Yeah. Next, I'll talk about Matsuri. Yeah, Matsuri, our pure idol, right? Okay, so Matsuri. So for her, this level 1, 1 cost, I mean, level 1, 1 cost, I usually play her as my starting entry member. She's good, but it's only till late game. When you're at level 5, you're able to use her supporting member skill. Her effect is just that when she boosts, you can pay 1 cost of resting your energy. Basically pay 1 energy and then return her to the bottom of your deck. Choose one of your opponent member and return it to the bottom of your deck. So if you know your opponent is low on hand cards and they have limited cards on the field, using her skill, right, you can actually limit them even more. So this is something I would say if you want to play, you just play 1 copy as your starting entry card. Yep. I wouldn't say play more for her. So she's the same as Sora Senpai, so you have to choose what kind of aggro playstyle you're going for. Sora Senpai, I would say is more towards spark based deck, and then for Matsuri it's more towards like a aggressive kind of deck, just like her attack cannon. Yep. Next is her spark, level 2. 2 cost, level 3 spark. Choose one of your opponent member and then retire it. It's the same as Sui Sui. So yeah, you can play both her and Sui Sui inside. Next, this is what I would say as the so-called second strongest card in this deck. Her ability is just that if she's in the entry zone, if you have a ReBirth combo, right? So as say you have a ReBirth on the field, she actually whenever the member boosts, right, she get their attack power. So say if Matsuri, she support her, she'll plus another 3 attack, making her 6. Along with the ReBirth, maybe 7. So this is good because you can easily help get rid of opponent entry. And then the good part about this is that you can actually choose say you have a few different cost members on your field. Let me choose another one. Yeah, so like this. Yeah, the field. So your opponent say is on 6, right? You have a ReBirth on your field. Any one of the ReBirth will do this. Okay, so one of the ReBirth effect +1, so she's 4, her skill is activated. For your opponent is 6 defense, you boost with her. 2 +1 +3 6, just nice enough. And just nice when your opponent bring in a higher defense card, right? You can use a higher attack power to add into your Matsuri to actually hit through. So a very decent card, I would say. For now, if you only have a few of these bosses, I would say you can play her. But this is the same case as Miko Senpai, where basically if you don't have a ReBirth card, right, they are just gonna be kind of like a dead weight to you. Cause for 3 attack is, for 4 cost 3 attack is very bad. Plus side is just that she have more defense than Miko Senpai, which is quite weird considering how she's actually a glass cannon. There's a running joke that been going on. Matsuri the glass cannon, but somehow she just have more defense than her attack. Makes no sense, but we have to go with it. Next, Aki Senpai. Aki Roses. So this is her 1 cost spark. This is actually a very good card that yeah, I recommend people to play for the draw engine, but the only downside is your opponent also get to draw 1. Yeah, so when you entry in a spark ability activate, you can draw a card, your opponent can draw a card. But for if you draw a card, she +1, your opponent draw a card +1. So if you both draw a card, it will become +2, 4 attack, 5 defense. You usually wouldn't care about the attack and defense, cause after you activate her spark, you most likely you will bring her down. But she's just mainly there to play as your spark engine, as in your draw engine. So depending on what deck you're playing, like I say, you can play 4 copy of her. Yeah, cause she have no spark level and she's only 1 cost. She's very good. Yep. So this is something, if you like, you can actually try to get 4 copies first. Next will be her cost 3 spark. So just spark, also no level at all. So just when she spark in, she +2, so making her 6, 7. So this is good for mid game or early game also attacking. So for now, if you like, you can just add her, but I will say she's not really needed also. There's gonna be another stronger cards that you're gonna add in to kind of draw into the pieces you like. So she's good, but maybe if you like, you just play like 1 or 2. Okay, maybe just 2 or 3 lah. Yeah, 2 or 3. 1 copy may not be very stable. Yeah, I say maybe play 2 to 3. She have no spark level anyway, so there's really no harm lah. She's 6 attack, 7 defense is there. Yeah. Her Berlin card 4 cost. Yep. Hers is a lot more balanced than Sora and Susei. Theirs is 4 attack and then 8 defense. So this is more balanced between 6/6. So she's both offense and defense. So if you really want to play a Berlin card, you can consider playing her instead. Next is Hachama. I miss her so much. Bring her back, guys. So this is a 2 cost spark, level 3 draw card. Same as Roboko skill. Just entry in spark, draw card. so you can play her and rope. Next is just her Valina. This is the same as you say, 4 attack, 8 defense for 3 costs. Next, this is what I consider as the boss card of the deck, and the card that, if I'm not wrong, right, a lot of people will be playing it for most of their decks because she's a very good finisher. Even in early game, mid game, any time of the part of the game, right, having her on your entry, right, is gonna be really very strong. Yeah. So her good side is that she doesn't need a rebirth, so that's already a plus. She's 5 cost, 4 attack, 7 defense. That's kind of heavy, but if you manage to get her into entry in, right, her ability activates. So for every member you have, right, she plus 1 attack, so making her 7/7. Then her other downside is that if she ever, after she attack, right, if her attack is 8, right, you have to put her into the waiting zone and then a waiting room and then do another entry in. So there's a lot of plus and okay, there's a lot of thinking for it lah, for this card. So I'll explain further later lah. For now, this is actually a card that you would like to try to get 4 copies, and then it will be a staple in most of the deck. Cause it's very free, you will definitely have 3 members. You always attack with 7, meaning she always stay on the field. There's special cases where you can actually make her go to 8 and then get rid of her, try to attempt to get another spark. So meaning get some combos going on. But I would say it's safe to keep her on the field because you have 7 defense, is quite high. Yep. So this is definitely a staple card. You have to get her if you are planning to add her build a deck. She's definitely gonna be your finisher. So this is one of the important cards. Next is Fubuki. So Fubuki as a damage nullifier blocker. So yep, not much to say here. This Fubuki, I wouldn't say it's really good. I will surely just say don't play it. But if you're building for a pure Fubuki deck, I think you can add her. Fubuki should have more than enough cards already to actually build a deck. With the upcoming what is it? Azura Lin, she's coming out as a promo also. Then she also have the Gamer Gen card, so you can add it in. Yeah. So this one, the ability is just once button and the entry, right, you can pay 3 costs, right, to choose either one of the effect, to draw a card and then discard a card, or right, you can actually give herself, right, a +1 attack. It's a very heavy cost to pay. It's very heavy to pay 3 costs when you can actually just pay 2 and then bring her down to try to get another entry in for better card. Yeah, for now, not really a card that I would recommend playing. Yep. Next is this 3 cost Fubuki. So this is actually a really good card, saying if you are low on hand size, right, she's the card you go for. So she have a requirement where you need to have the other rebirth card, the office floating, if I'm not wrong. So if she have that, right, she get her skill where if her attack hits, right, she can and your hand size is 4 or less, you can actually draw a card. So this helps you replenish your hand card. But I would say that it's, like I said previously, it's not easy to actually get out your rebirth card unless you combo with another card, which I got explain later. It's just okay. I'm just gonna say it's just Aqua lah. So Aqua got the ability to bring back rebirth card from the drop zone, which actually help you set up the field. But attack is too low. That's the one downside I hate about. Attack is too low, and then it's just drawing of a card lah. It's good to actually draw cards, but I would say it's not worth playing her. Yeah, unless you're going for a Fubuki deck. Yeah, then obviously playing for her will be good. Yep, I wouldn't play her. Next is just their Hue, their version, the SSS, the non-stop story, and then this is the office floating. This is the one also the same skill. For every damage you just choose one of your opponent, entry or member, just burn them, put it into the waiting room. Yeah, so this is actually one of the cards with the recombo, you actually require it. So I would say unless you are planning to add this Fubuki into your deck, then you can play this ReBirth. Other than that, I would say there's no need for these two. Yeah. So that'll be it for my Gen 1, and now I'll head over to Gen 2. Alright, so now back to Gen 2. So Gen 2, now I'll be explaining their cards. So this is just their partners. This is the one that actually managed to whack a lot. So as you can see, I got all the foil partners, and then I have the normal version on the other side. Okay, so we go to Choco Sensei first. So Choco Sensei, this is one of the cards you can actually play as your starting entry. I want to say Forerunner so much. I play too much Vanguard, sorry guys. So she's one cost. She just helps to bring down and then call entry very easy. So anyway, 2 attack, 3 defense, generally very normal. Egg ability, you pay 1 cost, your opponent reveal their hand, and then at the end of turn, she'll go to the bottom of the deck. So she's something that actually helps return cards to the bottom of the deck, so that you can actually free up your member zone to actually spark him more. So not a bad card, but I feel like there's no need to actually know what's in your opponent's hand, unless yeah, there's really no point knowing what's in your opponent's hand. Your opponent's hands are usually quite limited. Yeah. This is just her as a vanilla, so not really needed. This is actually something you can consider playing. This is actually quite defensive and quite good. So just 2 cost, no level at all, 3 attack, 6 defense. So when she spark in, you choose your opponent's entry minus 2 attack. So with 6 defense, she minus the opponent 2 attack. She's gonna be staying on the field for quite a while. So this is if you don't want to play, actually I feel like, yeah, if you like, you can just play her. She helps, but yeah, maybe 2 to 3 is also okay. It's just the same as how I would say for Roboco and Miko. Yeah. Next, I'll be talking about Subaru. Chupa chupa chupa. So this is another one that you can actually consider playing as your starting entry member. So her skill is as a member, if she get retired, right, you can charge 1 card. So you can, as in, put the top card of the deck into the like so-called energy, charge 1, put as rest. So I won't say she's a bad card, but she's more used for decks that need a lot of energy, that require you to keep charging for you to later pull off a better combo. Other than that, she's actually quite nice. Yeah. So this is a card that you can consider depending on the deck. This is a Spark 3 cost, 5 attack, 4 defense. Spark enter, she plus 2 attack, plus 1 defense. So for 3 cost, she is 7 attack. It's actually very, very nice. Yeah, I say if you want to play her, it's also the same. You can play 2 to 3 copy. She definitely won't be your boss attacker, but she'll be there as a so-called aggressive, and she also have a 5 defense. It's considered a bit defensive. It's not bad of a card you can add in your deck. So this is a Valina, ready to play. Next, we got Shion. Spark Canceller, no need to say much, 2 costs. Yeah, Spark Canceller for 2 costs. This is something that you can actually play more of, I feel. Cost for Suisei, her spark, I'm saying her cost for the Spark Canceller is 4. So for her, this is only 2 costs. So you have to see what's your playstyle. If you're going for a more entry in deck, I would say maybe play her. But if you're playing more of a draw deck, maybe play the 4 cost one. It doesn't hurt. Draw messing. It's kind of weird. Yeah. Because you have to think about it. If you entry in her, she's 2 cost. You can easily just bring her down again. Entry again. For 2 cost is a lot cheaper than Suisei, but her attack and defense isn't there. So. But if you ask me, I'll feel like playing. I personally feel like I'll play her more than Suisei. Just that I like Suisei more, so maybe I'll play her instead. Yeah, she in the end is you go back to waifu. Yeah. Next is her SSS version. Okay, just an SSS version. So 3 cost, 5 attacks, 7 defense. If she is a member, you have to pay a cost of resting 1 or discarding a card to stand her. Definitely not a not playable card, I would say. It's a bit too strict to discard a card or pay a cost. It's very bad for a member. I don't really like it. Yeah. Next is this one is it's decent. She actually helps you retrieve cards. Yeah, so it's just an entry recombo if you have the ReBirth. Shit, I forgot what's the name of the ReBirth already. It's a demolish office or something. I forgot, something demolish stuff. So if you have that ReBirth, right, she can actually choose one of your members from your waiting room, right, and then just call it out, and then she +2 attack. So she's good in say if you like, you can call back Subaru, you can call back Choco Sensei, you can activate their skill. So it's not bad card, you can consider playing. Aqua Sense and Aqua Senpai. So Aqua is 2 cost, spark level 3, just retire one of your opponent cards. Yep. Generic. Can play her, Matsuri or Suisei. Then this is a really important card. This is a card that will be I would say it's something like Hachama, where you might actually play 4 copy of. So spark level 5, you actually choose 2 different ReBirth and then set it up on your field. So currently, right, like I say, our ReBirth cards are limited to these 2, right? The healing and then also the one with the skill. So she's good and she can bring out this card, then you can combo with her, Shion. So but in other case, you can put into other decks that so-called require a certain ReBirth for a certain recombo. You definitely use her to help bring out. And if another case, right, right now there's actually 4 ReBirth cards. That's in different skills lah. So this is also the other one. This is the box stopper for the shit, I forgot the name for it. Yeah, the Wish Cross, if I'm not wrong, the box stopper for the quintuplets. Yeah, if I'm not wrong, it's for that one, the box stopper. So this one is just continuous forever ability. On your ReBirth zone, they double all your sparks, and then the first battle of the turn, your entry get +1 attack. So she can actually help you retrieve back this ReBirth and then take another ReBirth and set it up. And then there's also the other ReBirth that is one that's not ready out yet, but it's coming out soon. Is the Azura Lane promo. Yeah, so the Azura promo, there's gonna be another card that most people might play. So that one is one that you can try to get 4 copies. Just the ability is when you spark, you choose a card, a spark from your waiting room, right? And then you set up that ReBirth and then you actually activate the spark. And then the second skill is actually really very good. So you can choose one of your entry and then put it into the waiting room and then do another entry in. So like I said, that's more towards a spark based deck. So this will be the part where actually you have to consider what's the ratio of ReBirth you're going to be playing. This promo is good in the sense where she's like a so-called she'll be like your 5th, 6th, 7th copy or 8 copies of a certain card. Yeah. So say beforehand, so one of my members went to the one of my entry went into the damage. So I do an entry in, I entry in this card. So I'll set it into the ReBirth zone, right? So I have to proceed to do another entry in because I have no cards in the entry zone. So I do another entry in Aqua. So Aqua ability, right? Now because of the ReBirth, right, I can activate twice. So now that means I can choose one different name, 2 different ReBirth with different name and then set it up in my ReBirth zone. But because of the promo, the ReBirth card, I can activate her effect again and then I can set up again. So that'll be another total of 5 ReBirth. On paper it seems very nice, but sometimes it's not gonna be that easy because how you gonna get 4 ReBirth in your drop zone so fast? Yeah. But you get my point where this card is gonna be quite useful. I would say recommend get 4 copies. If you're gonna have more decks, maybe you wanna get more copies. For now, I just buy 4. Yeah, I haven't really decided where I will be putting these cards into also. Probably when I be building my competitive deck, I'll add them inside. Yeah. So this card will be like like I said previously, will be your extra copy of a certain card. So I already say you have 4 copies of her already, right? so this will be considered as a 5th, 6th, 7th copies activating on the same turn. Yeah, so even for her, if you entry in her, you double her skill, right, you can choose 2 cards and retire it instead of 1. So the only downside is you have to actually think properly on which card you have to remove, cause you can only play 8 rebirths. If can, I will definitely play 4 for each, total of 12, but you're not allowed, so maybe you can consider 3-3-2. Because you think about it, this card, right, she is considered as a double, so it's once you give it this spark, right, you'll be healing 2 instead of 1. Yeah, so maybe if you play 3 copy, it's considered like you're playing 6 copy or something like that. Yeah, you get my idea. This card is something that will help, like if you have it in your hand, you play it, and then you spark in and get something, and then if next time it goes to your waiting room, you can use her, when you spark her in, right, she'll activate, help you retrieve again. So I would say this 4-cost spark Aqua, I would say maybe try to get 4 copies, because you never know if you're gonna include that many of it in your deck. So yeah, the promos, try to get it too. Right now it's not really that expensive, so I bought mine around like $150. The average price about $2 to $3. Yeah, I bought it at a lower price. Lucky for me. But this card will most likely rocket high at one point. Yeah. Next card, Aqua. Okay, so this is also another card that you can consider playing 4 copies. Yeah. So she has this effect where recombo, right? She gets double of whatever status they give. So say this one give +1 attack and 0 defense, times 2 of that will be +2 attack and 0 for the first attack. So she will become 6 then 0. Right now we do not know what other rebirth they will be giving for the booster box. But say if there's a card that says give 3 attack, 2 defense, like the Toho one, so she will be +ing 6 attack and 4 defense. Yeah. So this can be considered as one of your boss card of the deck. For now, she's not going to be very playable, but further down into the booster box where they reveal more cards, right, I would say she's going to be more playable. So that's something you can actually get first before like maybe the price spike. Yeah. So next we have Ayame. So this is just a vanilla form, nothing. So there's also a reason why they actually give 4 of the Protect Ayame and 4 of the Spark Ayames. So Spark Ayame, the effect is that you can discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. So what you actually think of, right, is that when you play her, the Spark ability, you can discard 2 cards. So I know it's gonna be a waste to discard these cards, right? But think of it this way, where you discard these 2 cards, right, you retrieve 2, you draw 2 cards, you happen to draw 2 of the Protect cards. Yep. Like say you just managed to draw 2, and then if you have this on the field, you can activate the effect again, discard another like 2 random cards, and then you draw another 2 cards. Yeah. So the idea is there where basically you are just discarding cards and drawing cards, drawing to your pieces, your important pieces that you actually needed, and it also can help put the cards that like your important pieces that you know you're gonna be able to activate later in the game, like say your rebirth, you know that you have Aqua, so later Aqua will be able to actually help you retrieve them from the drop zone. Or like I said, the Azura Lane promo. The Azura Lane promo is the effect where when they spark, you choose a spark from your waiting room and then activate that spark. So having an effect, you actually throw away spark cards, right, are going to be useful, and then you can draw into because after all, spark cards in your hand, they are not going to be much use, because there's only like an entry in, you activate effect. If they are in your hand, they are considered as useless unless you have a way of returning it back to your deck or returning it to the top of the deck or something. Other than that, it's quite useless. Yeah, so having them in the drop zone combined with the new Azura Lane promo is going to be something that is more viable, more useful. Her skill where you can discard the other useless cards to draw other cards, more important pieces, you can draw into like your protects, you can draw into your important boss, like your finisher units. Yeah, so she's actually a very good card. But like I say, there are cases where she's sparked in, right, and it happened to me before where I have 2 of the guards instead. Then it happens, then like, oh, I guess I'll be using the skill. Yeah, but Unless you're that unlucky, it does happen, kind of thing. Yeah. So I would say maybe you play 2 to 3 copies. If you like, you can play more. Yeah. So there's Aqua, Ayame the defense, and then Xion, so-called our finisher. It's not a very strong finisher compared to what I previously mentioned of Hachama and Sora Senpai, but this deck is more towards like a supporting and more towards a spark based deck. Yeah. So this is more towards the deck where you'll be using a lot of their cards to actually help build into your other decks. Yeah. So this ReBirth will be quite useful if you're adding in Xion. Yeah. If not, you can consider playing other ReBirth. So that'll be it for Gen 2. Now I'll be heading over and show you the last one, Gamer, and then afterwards I'll do a summary and the combos and all. Yep. Alright, so now onto the Gamer trial deck. So for the Gamer trial deck, this is the foil partners. So we have Mio. Yep. So I have the normal version, foil version, Korone, Yubi, normal, foil, Fubuki, normal, and sadly for Okayu is the only one that I didn't manage to get a foil version, so very sad, even though I whacked it more than Gen 2. Anyway, proceeding to the deck. So first up we have Mio. So Mio, talk about her 1 spark, her no cost spark. Actually she's 1 cost and then she have no level for her spark. Yes, her spark +2/+2, so pretty generic. Next is just her as a protect. Yep. Defender or block. And then you have the Belina one, so it's not really needed. Next is her. This is more of an interesting card. So her ability is that when she's in a member, she actually gives your entry +1 defense. So if you have 3 of her outright, if say Okayu is in the entry, so that means she'll be plus another additional 3 defense, making her 7 defense. So it's a very defensive and good card, in a sense it's good during your opponent's turn. Yep. So if your opponent retire it, right, and then next card you come out, you have another card. For example, like another Belina Okayu, it becomes like 8 defense. So this is a card that you can consider playing, but it's actually really very hard to get her into the member zone, because paying 4 costs to move her down for entry in or just calling her out is very heavy. Unless later I'll show you another combo, an easier way to actually get her on the field, but it's not very easy to get her. Yeah. Next is Okayu. So Okayu, her 1 cost. So this is one of the good cards that I actually like playing as a starting member entry. So as long as she have a Korone company in the ReBirth zone, right? She have the egg ability as a member. You can pay 1 cost to basically pay 1 cost to stand back 3. So you have 2 used already. You have 1 Korone company. Her ability once per turn, you pay 1 cost and then you can stand back 3. So this is good for say if you are low on hand cards and you need to do more entry in, you're able to use her skill to refresh your cost to get more members out again. And then it's also to synergize with Korone's ability. Yep. So Korone, later further down we'll talk about it. Next, Okayu Belina, don't really need it in the deck. This is her 3 cost spark canceller. Yep. So previously we've seen Xion with 2 costs, and then we saw Suisui with 4 costs. Yeah. Next is this Okayu. So Okayu spark level 5. When she enters, right, you are able to swap one of your hand cards with one of your member. So this is one of the things that I said. You can actually swap it, synergize with Suisui. So you can actually switch out one of the member, add in Suisui. Suisui's ability, if you have 3 members also, right, on the field, right, you're able to swap cards from hand with the members. So interestingly, you can do is something like this. Ability spark enter, you can bring this back to your hand and have her on the field. The ability, you can bounce back 2 of these cards. you can browse it to your hand, and then from your own hand you call another 2, so maybe you can call Mio. So now you have Mio on the field, right? Instantly she gives your entry plus 2 defense. Yeah, so making Okayu 8 defense. So this one the interesting play you can consider using. So that will be the synergy for Okayu and Suisui. Next up is just Valina's Korone. Moving on, we have a standard Spark level 3, retire one of your opponent member. So don't need to say, these cards are pretty standard. Next is so-called the second strongest card of this deck. So what she does is a member, you can keep paying 1 cost to have her +1 attack for 82 times. So if you have her as a member, and say you just need at least 3 energy, right? Then mysteriously, if you somehow have 3 Okayus on the field, her ability, you can pay 1, stand back 3. Korone, you can pay 2, get 2 attack. Her ability, pay 1, stand back 3. Again, pay 2, ability, pay 1, stand back 3. Her ability, pay 3 this time. So that she will total get +2, +2, +3. So +2, +2, +3, there will be a total of 7. 7 plus 3 will be 10. So yeah. But like I said, realistically, you ain't gonna have the luxury of having like 73 Okayu on the field. You won't be like so lucky to have Korone company on your hand also. So it's not exactly a very easy thing to pull off. Maybe with further support down, if they give you like ReBirth that help you add more gauges, that helps you bring out these cards easily. This card can be quite useful, can be more commonly played. Yeah. For now, she's just one of the more interesting. She's like the second boss of this deck. Yeah. Next is 4 cost Korone. So Korone, when she spark, she have no level, so you can choose any one of the players. So your own side or your opponent's side, you can choose their rest member, right? And you can return it to the bottom of the deck. You can just remove like your opponents. You know, usually when they attack, right, they will support using like their important members. They always say use your important members, so support first. So Korone is there to help like get rid of their so-called important members, or you can use it to return your own members also, so that next time you can actually do more entries. So next is this member Fubuki. So this is a very good card that I will say is a staple for most deck also, till maybe further support. So what her ability is, she's only 2 costs also. So as a member, when she support, right, you're able to use her ability, return her to the bottom of your deck, and then that entry +1 attack. Yeah, it's still the end of that turn. So the skill actually does stack, so you can just keep using your ability, boost already, return to the bottom of the deck, and then it will still continue the attacks. Yeah. So one interesting thing is if you somehow have let's just say you have like 2 other members lah. I don't think it's possible for you to have 3 Fugis, so the combo doesn't really work also even if you have 3. So say you have Hachama. So Hachama's ability, you basically +3 attack, cause for every member you +1 attack. So you have 7/7. So you can use this attack 7/7, and then this one attacks. Ability is that she's still at 7, and this timing you should use her ability, you return it, so it makes her 8. So just like at the end of the battle, cause her attack did hit 8 at that point, so you are forced to retire her. So this is so-called return to the bottom of the deck. You have to retire her. You can do a spark in. So if you spark in, perhaps you got retrieve something good, like perhaps you got a spark, you got a heal or something. Then you basically do some kind of like plays lah. One of the new play that I so-called notice, but it's not really out yet, is if you have Russia, one of the Gen 3 card. So if you get her spark, right, her spark is just that she's able to choose one of the units, right, one of the members from the waiting room and call it out. So what I suggest is if you what I did just now, I show you Hachama goes to the waiting room, retired, you do a sparking, say you do in, and then you got Russia ability, you can call back another unit from the waiting room, call back out, so that means another attack. So meaning this turn you're able to attack 4 times. Yeah. Some more, I know it's not easy to actually like, you know, control like what is going to be the top card of the deck. Perhaps with further support, there will be things that let you so-called return cards to the top of the deck. You're able to predict it. We don't know, but it's kind of one of those interesting play that you can consider. And that Rusha that I mentioned, the fact that she have no cost for a spark to actually retrieve a member from drop is gonna be quite a staple card, I feel, because bring back cards for no cost is actually very good. Yeah. Next is just Fubuki, spark level 3, draw a card. Yeah. And then Fubuki as Berliner. You don't really have to care about that. Next is the boss of this deck. So this is one of the cards that I feel like people are not really very focused on her. Like they don't really play a lot of copy of her. I personally feel she's decent. She's good to be played. Because of the fact is just whenever your attack hits and you retire the opponent's entry, right, you're able to +2 attack, and then if you pay another 2 cost, you can plus another 2 attack. So she obviously need a recombo, so that means she's definitely gonna be at least 5 attack. And then if say you know you are unable to so-called attack hits, right, what you can do is use a partner attack. So you boost, you use rest 3 of your partners, right, do a definite hit, and then pay another 2 cost to have her plus another 2 attack. So meaning after that battle, right, her attack is going to stay as 8-8. And then after you use another one boost 8 attack hits, she's gonna get 10 attack. Yeah. So it's something like, you know, roll out. So like one more move the roll is just gonna get stronger and stronger and stronger unless your opponent gets some kind of card like this, retire all of it. If not, it's gonna be hitting like a truck. So what I like is this ability is what I would be considering as one of the most card, one of the staple card that you can put along with Hachama. Yeah. So 4 copies of her. It's neat. Next is just their heals, the gamer version, and then we have Korone Company. So Korone Company is one of the cards I feel like if you're gonna play this effect, I'll definitely play Korone Company because the synergy with Okayu being able to help you refresh cost is very good. Yeah. So that's the rough guide for Gamer Gen, and then now I'll head on and show you some of like the deck builds and like mixing all the cards together, so to show you a general idea of what it's gonna be like now. Alright, so now we are back. So this is a rough deck guide that I kind of come up with. If you like, you can give it a try, tell me how you feel about it. Some of the cards here you see, like the ones that are placed behind, like it's a different card. It's not that I'm just putting it as a so-called proxy. I do have the card, but I'm just too lazy to take it out. So like Aqua, you can play 3 of her. You don't have to care the one at the back. Like Hachama, I play 4 of it. Like I say, these 2 will be like the so-called ace of your deck. Yeah, Aqua will be the one that helps you retrieve the ReBirth cards. So I decided to play this Miko also because of the fact that Miko, if you will combine with the double spark, right, it's gonna make her super defensive, at the same time it's gonna make her super defensive. What I mean by that is, say if you have 3 damage, right, so when you spark her in, right, at no cost, right, she's gonna get +3/+3, making her a 6 and 8. But with the double spark, right, it's gonna become +6/+6. So she's gonna become either a 9 attacker and an 11 defender. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons, because this is more of a spark based deck. We know I'm definitely gonna play this double spark. So I decided to just put her inside. Yep. So yes, I play 4 copies of her. Your other recycler, which will be Fubuki. So Fubuki will be the card that continuously she will help to attack. So she also go back to the bottom of the deck. So the idea is every time you attack, you will use a skill to return to the bottom of your deck, and then next turn you will be able to so-called keep re-entry again. So just pay the cost, bring it down, re-entry another card, get the spark off. Yeah. So so for this deck, I'm not actually playing a lot of protects. We're not playing any spark canceller. We're just playing 5. We
do still need to play protect like the defender, so it's still as a blocker, because we also kind of want to protect our important cards on the field sometimes. Yeah, so perhaps it's like the attack, right? They want to you happen to entry in Hachama, so you still have like a blocker to help you block off the attack. Next time you're able to use Hachama to help you go into offense. Yeah. So we don't play too much of it because it's going to be quite useless as an entry or a member, but enough to so-called like if you happen to draw it, you're able to use it to guard. And then we are playing 3 copy of her, because she's just 1 cost, right? You're able to pay and then bring her down again to respawn again. So she's also giving us the draw power. Yeah. Instead of playing 4 copy, I'm playing 3 because I also don't really like the fact that my opponent got to draw. Yeah. So instead I play 2 of the Roboco draw. Yeah. So below here you can see just all the remover from the waiting room. So this is just burn one of your opponent's member. So I'm playing a total of 3, 6, 9, 11. Yeah. So just rough. Every time like say if I were to have the double spark, right, and then I were to next entry in, right, I'm able to burn 2. So you see what I'm going with. Usually your opponent like so-called boost one attack, your attack goes through, you have to do entry in. Then so if you entry in this ReBirth, and then entry the next card, one of the member burner, so you're able to burn both of their next attacking unit, so they won't be able to do any more attacks. So that's also one of the reasons why we don't play so much blocker, because there's no exact need to actually play it. And then I'm actually playing 1 copy of Swiss Wave. 1 copy is just there so that if you have any important cards on the field, any of the blockers, you're actually able to just pay 1 cost, call out onto the field, and then just retrieve them back, and then put your Fubuki onto the field, and then you can use Fubuki skill during your battle later. For your first entry card, I'll play as Masuri. Masuri is just there to also return cards and also get rid of your opponent's member. Yeah. So here is, if I'm not wrong, exactly 42 cards. Yeah, 42 cards. So I'm playing 3 of the double sparks, and then since I'm actually already playing so many of the retire sparks, right, I'm just playing 4 heals. So I have 1 of each different gen, and then followed by 1 double company. So this card is just also there. When you spark, you're able to just retire your whole opponent's field or something like that. Yeah. But downside about this is there's the double spark is not going to combine with this, and it's not going to pull off anything at all. So the rough idea is that you can just, based on what I said so far, try to mix and match your deck, try to play around it, try to see the idea that I'm going for, and then just have fun. The main idea is just have fun building your deck, trying it out, and then go with whichever you like. You can go with copy my build, you can go, like I say, purely waifu build. Yeah. So this is just a guideline for you guys, for those that's actually just started build for you. Just a rough guide for you to learn how to build your deck. Knows like how are the deck you can build like, because in ReBirth for you, right, they never really say how many sparks you are allowed to play. So there's like no limits for sparks or blockers, so you can play like all the whole deck full of sparks, whole deck full of blockers, but it's not going to be very effective because generally they don't really have a member skill, so their spark is only once activated once they're in the spark zone. After that there's no effect. So you still need member cards that's gonna be helpful for finisher, helpful as a supporter. So this is just a rough idea. You can see this is one of the decks I'm showing you. There's many of different ideas lah, but this is just one of the so-called ones that I like. So if you like, just give it a try. And then if you like this video, just remember, give it a like, comment, just give it a big thumbs up. Yeah. So I'm just super tired after work now. Yeah. So if you do, just like, comment, subscribe. Alright, that's it. Bye bye.